North Dakota Senator, Senate Armed Services Committee member and Senate Banking Committee member Kevin Cramer is here to talk more about this. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much. So much to get to with you. What do you make of this deterrence that wasn't?
Well, Maria, first of all, the whole concept of peace by strength is about deterrence. It's about having strength that deters bad people from doing really bad things, whether it's the 150 nuclear missiles in the ground in North Dakota or sanctions. But it does help explain why Joe Biden was reluctant and refused to issue sanctions prior to the invasion. Pretty much everything he's done, even the things he's done right, he's done late. So he has this tendency to let the bad guy behave poorly first and then come in as though these are punitive measures as opposed to deterrence. It would be a really crazy idea to issue a whole bunch of sanctions that will have a negative impact not only on Vladimir Putin and Russia, but lots of people throughout the world if it wasn't going to manipulate behavior in a better way.
I guess what I'm getting at, Senator, is many people have said to me that this president and this administration is approaching this war in Ukraine as if Ukraine is inevitable to fall, as if at some point, of course, Russia will win. And yet the intelligence tells us that there is a path for victory for Ukraine. So should we have been much more helpful much earlier on so that Ukraine had more of a fighting chance?
In a word, yes, we should have. We should have, and we should have been leading that effort, Maria. We should have gotten more lethal weapon systems into Ukraine when it was easy, rather than, again, waiting for the invasion to happen. We should have had the faith in them. I visited Kyiv just not that long before the invasion. It was actually mid-January. And one of the things I left with was, first of all, I was impressed by how confident Ukrainian leadership was. I was very impressed by the details of their battle plan and their defenses and their organization, including, by the way, their militia and their National Guard, as well as their active military. So they were clearly prepared. They clearly, had advanced over the last 8 years, and we should have been more helpful early on.
Let me move on to another subject that it seems this administration missed entirely with their climate change agenda. I saw your tweet about JPMorgan CEO and Chairman Jamie Dimon. He apparently urged the administration to unleash American energy as gasoline prices skyrocket. In a closed-door meeting earlier this week, Dimon apparently reportedly proposed that the White House launch a Marshall Plan. Senator, you said that you spoke with Jamie Dimon about this Marshall Plan as well, and you reiterated it on your Twitter feed, saying that an invitation for him to visit North Dakota to see your carbon capture projects is out there. I was with Jamie Dimon in North Dakota about a year ago when he opened his first branch there. Have you heard back from him?
Well, he and I visited late yesterday or middle of the afternoon yesterday. I was very impressed with the reporting of his meeting in the White House, and I talked to others who had been there at the same time. And I've gotten to know a lot of these bank presidents. Of course, they have their ESG statements, and they sound a bit woke in public. But when you have a private conversation about the destruction of the American economy as they transition to a more aspirational clean energy goal, they're really quite pragmatic, but none quite as bold in his rhetoric as Jamie Dimon, not surprisingly, knowing his personality. And I would very much like to have him come out to North Dakota, see Project Tundra, and see how we're actually doing the things that some others are just talking about. And we can, Marie, we can unleash this incredible American ingenuity and innovation, reduce greenhouse gas emissions like we've been doing in the United States, and share that with the world. I think the geopolitical moment, the window is open now, and we just have to take the 2022 reality and sort of override the 2050 aspirations. We can do both, but we can't simply unilaterally disarm our own economy. And I think Jamie Dimon's right on point.
Well, exactly. And just to be clear on where I stand here is, ESG is important and protecting the environment is important. We all want clean energy and clean water and our planet to be strong for forever. But now the time to do it does not seem to be appropriate because we don't have the energy in terms of fossil fuels that we need. So how long does that transition take, and what do you do in the process?
So it's an important balance that you're talking about, because what you have to do, as you know, I mean, these are capital-intensive industries. They require more than a 6-month, certainty. And so whether you're talking about a 5-year or 10 years certainty of a pipeline, or the 20-year certainty of a low-cost baseload fuel source in a multi-billion-dollar plant, how about uranium? There are a lot of things that we can do in the United States, but you have to have more than just a few weeks of certainty. You can't just turn the valve on today and get back up to the previous production levels and then turn it off in 6 months when we want to get back to wind farms and hydrogen. We need to do it all in sync, Maria. But most of this, it really is regulatory in its nature. And so we have, for example, we have something like 4,600 of those 9,000 leases that Joe Biden likes to talk about on federal lands that are in litigation. Or I guess it's 2,200 that are in litigation. That's right. Well, the only thing a liberal loves more than regulation is litigation. We need to have a comprehensive plan, and that's why I like Jamie Dimon calling it a Marshall Plan. But it requires everybody with all of their varying goals to get together and use reality instead of fantasy.
And are we going to see reality next week out of the president's budget, Senator? The president's going to release his budget next week, and I'm wondering how the allocation looks in terms of the reality of the situation in need right now.
No, I worry a little bit about it. I'm going to keep an open mind till I get it. I have a phone call already lined up with the budget director, who I have great respect for. But you're right, the allocation of resources, and by the way, they're limited resources, let's not forget, although they seem like they've been limitless lately. But we are at a time of crisis. We need to reestablish and rebuild our military. We're using up a lot of the stockpiles of certain weapons systems in Ukraine. Our allies are needing more. So we're going to have to look at our priorities, look at the moment, and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, we're going to zero in on the president's budget next week and get a clear understanding of how this White House is spending our money, taxpayer dollars. Senator, it's good to see you as always. Thank you, sir.